So for this experiment, bacterial identification motility testing, I set up my desk to have everything that I would need for the experiment. So before the experiment, I make sure I read the instructions so I know what to expect and do the step by step, get everything ready so I can do the step by step procedures to accomplish the experiment. First thing I do is I wash my hand and for infection control. I get things ready, which is that I have my gloves for the protective equipment, personal protective equipment. The lab did suggest we can use goggles and apron, but I feel that this experiment is fast and simple enough that there's no splashing involved, so I will not use it. So we do have our marker to mark our motility test agar tube. Then we have the paper clip needed, but I do have a hairpin because I can't find paper clip. We have our the organism culture, which is the E. coli plate, and the Staphylococcus epidermis. I can't pronounce that one, it's too hard. I do have my alcohol to disinfect the hairpin before we set out to get the culture from our culture, so to disinfect it so there's no other cross contamination. And then we have test tube rack, which is very useful for this testing because I think it's very important to keep the test tube standing up, because this media right here, this functional media called motility test agar tube, it's kind of soft, it's very soft, so it can swish around and kind of messed up. I think it's gonna mess up the result of the experiment if you don't keep it standing up. I keep my other culture here for the other experiment for now, so we're not gonna be using that for the experiment. And then I have the candle and my lighter, which is also used to disinfect the tube. So every time we open the tube, we need to run the lid through the flame so we make sure there's no organism around the area, the lid, that can touch our sample and cross contaminate our experiment. So the way this experiment, as is introduced by as stated in our laboratory, we need to obtain sample from our active culture using the clip, which is I'm using a hairpin, and then we sterilize the lid of the motility test agar tube, and we stab it inside and making sure we pull it out the same way we put the pin, so it's just a straight line, so we can detect any movement from the bacteria from the stab site to the surrounding area. But so what I learned from this experiment is that this tube is a kind of functional media, and it's a differential kind, which use indicator to describe or distinguish the microorganism. And for this case, the characteristic that we'll be testing is the bacteria movement, which is the motility. And I think my biggest if I gonna have an error for this laboratory, it would be moving the soft gel around, because I felt like I can like swish it around and I won't have the straight stab area, the distinguished stab area, because it's very jelly like and soft. And That's for this lab. So I'm gonna start and do my lab now. Thank you.